Hello, I'm Gareth and this is the Championship Rounds for PitchBoxing, where I bring you all the interviews from the combat sports world. Enjoy. Frank, it's 2023. We must be optimistic, no, with so much going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of planning we've had over the last couple of years. It's left us in a great position for this year. You know, we've in the heavyweight division, obviously Tyson defended his title. His mandatory got that out of the way, which clears the decks for voluntary defences and the fight with Usyk. And we pushed the careers, really worked hard in getting Joyce in the as the interim WBO champion, and for Daniel Dubois in a position where he's the regular WBA heavyweight champion, which means that both of them are mandatory challengers for the respective governing bodies.
But you've got this heavyweight stable as well, which is growing and growing. David Adeleye, you're signing, and we've got a big press conference this week for Moses Itauma, who you're very excited about. What can I just ask you first of all? What do you do with Daniel Dubois at the moment?
With both him and Joe, they've got to tread water with them, because Tyson fights Usyk. I hope we get it over the line. He fights Usyk, then there'll be mandatory defences coming up. And the first one's the WBA according to the rotation system. And then Tyson's going to make a decision whether he wants to fight him or vacate the title if Tyson beats Usyk, and vice versa with Usyk. So they're in really good positions. And Tyson's already said that he does want to fight Joyce. So there's two great fights there with Tyson this year before we even start.
And where are you with Fury and Usyk? I mean, there've been soundings the last week. You've given a couple
we've sent them a draft contract. That's where we're at. So, you know, that's where we're at. And I listen, everything's got to be sorted out very, very quickly now, because the time is against us.
And is it looking like the UK or the Middle East? Do we know yet? Is there
wherever the most money comes from?
Right, and then that offer's in place from the Middle East at the moment, is it?
No, nothing's in place from anywhere outside the UK. We know what it can generate in the UK, but if it goes elsewhere, that depends again what the numbers are. And you know, I know a lot of people complain about it, and I agree it should be at Wembley. I'd love to see it there, but you know, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman went and fought in
Zaire.
Zaire. Then you had the Thriller in Manila. They had the big fights in Jamaica. They went where the money was, and these guys will do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So what's your instinct on that, though, in terms of having to get it done? Do you want to get it done in the next kind of the end of?
I want to get it out of the way. I'd like to get the fight on in March, right. And so with Tyson, we just want to get it on in March, and then that set him up for another big fight in the autumn.
And if it is in March, could that still be done in the UK, or if it was in the UK, would it have to be a little later?
Yeah. No, well, listen, we did a show on the 6th of December at Tottenham.
Yeah, that's true. 3rd of December. Yeah, it's true. In regards to Eddie Hearn's comments in a recent interview, can you see Tyson and Anthony Joshua fighting in 2023 as well?
No. And I'll tell you why I can't see it. One, you know, Tyson's got his, you know, Tyson's told me what fights he wants. That's number one. And number two is they don't want the fight. They had a chance to make it for the title. And we went through all that palaver, and Frank Smith, who works with Hearn, came out afterwards and said there weren't enough time, which there was. And we moved the date to December to accommodate them. But more importantly, he hasn't even got a trainer. He never had a trainer then. So why do we all waste our time? He has no trainer. And then I'm hearing that he wants 3 fights before he even decides to fight.
Dillian Whyte.
Dillian Whyte. I mean, what is that all about? He's the former world champion.
Yeah.
He's not some young kid coming back. You know, he should be out, get him a new train, have a quick fight, and then fight somebody.
You saw my piece in the Telegraph, because I did send it to you. I was looking at Stars on the Wane, And Anthony Joshua's fought twice in the last 2 years. I'm not trying to knock him here, but he's had 2 losses. The second fight with Usyk was a much better performance. But in terms of Anthony Joshua, I know he's not your fighter, but he really does need a very good 2023 to get back on track.
Well, he does, but you look, he's lost 3 of his last 4. That's what he's done. So that's not exactly showing you that he's in a good place. And I don't think he's been there. He's had a good run. He's made a lot of money. He was in the right place at the right time for a couple of fights. But the truth of the matter is, he's not going to beat these guys. You know, they're talking about fighting Dillian White and this, you know, and all the other ones. There's 2 good fights there that he could have immediately and pick the opponent. Either fight Joe Joyce or fight Daniel Dubois. And he won't fight either of them.
You'd put either of those guys straight in with Anthony Joshua, yeah?
Not even an issue for me.
On Joe Joyce, then, when do you expect him to be out next? And
March.
In March as well, on the same card as.
They're all bit, you know, they'll be out roughly March and April between all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And who? You know, you look down the list there, it's a difficult pick at the moment for him. I know he could fight anyone. I mean, him against Wilder's a massive fight, isn't it? Joyce and Wilder.
Well, it is, but he wants to fight. He's the champion now. The interim champion. Yeah. He's got to fight somebody who's in the top 10.
Yeah.
So that's what he'd do. And he's obviously got an eye on fighting for the full title. Yeah. So what he wants is the direction we're going.
But is there someone you have in mind? I'm looking down the division there.
I'm not even going there yet with that, Gareth. No. We know where we are. We got in our mind what the fights that we want to make, but I'm not made them yet, so I don't want to talk about them, and then they don't happen.
Right. Fair enough. But as you say, you expect him to be out in March or April.
Yeah.
Moving on to. The young heavyweight who we're all meeting this week, Moses Itauma. You're very, very optimistic that this guy could be the next great thing. Yeah, he's only 18, isn't he?
Well, he's 18 a week ago.
Yeah.
And he sparred with everybody, and the reports that have come back have been unbelievable. And I've seen some of the footage. And also, you can go online and you can see the footage of him in the European Championships where he won the gold medal. He knocked out everybody in the first round, four knockouts in the first round, and he won the World Championships in November, end of November, when he knocked out 2 and won the other 2 on points, but had them all over the place. I mean, he is something special. He's only a young man. He's, you know, say he's just turned 18, but he looks something special to me. And I'm excited. I'm really excited about it.
Presumably you'll get him out 5 or 6 times this year on the undercards of big fights.
Yeah, he'll be busy. Francis, my son's managing him. He's got a great relationship with him. He manages his brother too. So Carol, who's also undefeated. I think he's fighting on the undercard of Anthony Yard and Beterbiev next month. So, you know, Francis again managed him. So we got a real good situation going with the brothers, but certainly I'm really looking forward to him making his debut. I think people are going to like him because he is powerful, very strong, and he's a good boxer. And
when you have someone that young, do you have to carefully manicure them through the first 2-3 years of their career? He said his ambitions are to be world champion before. Younger than Mike Tyson, rather.
Well, it's nice to have ambition, but I take each fight as it comes. And what you can't do at that age is, you know, you could easily give someone 8 or 10 fights, but I don't want to be burning him out. He's just turned 18. We'll see.
You mentioned Anthony Yard and Artur Beterbiev, 28th of January, Wembley.
Yeah.
Massive coup to get Beterbiev to come here to fight Yard. And a huge opportunity for Anthony Yard.
Yeah, big time. I mean, Anthony's a good puncher, and he's also a good boxer. He's a good boxer. And Berbiev's an excellent fighter. He holds 3 belts. He fought Callum Johnson, I think it was about 18 months, maybe 2 years ago, and Johnson put him on the floor. Callum put him down. I said, if he puts him down, Anthony, then Anthony's number one, a good finisher, but he won't get over that. And that's where I think I'm. But he's so confident, Anthony, so confident about his fight. But it's a tough fight. It's not easy, but we've done all we can to put it in his backyard for him.
And he will have learned from the Sergei Kovalev.
Yeah, he should have won that fight. He should have won that fight. The tactics were wrong. You know, he got it wrong. He left it all too late. He was in front on all the judges' scorecards. You know, when the fight got stopped, he was like 10 seconds away from becoming world champion.
The final one I wanted to ask about today was Tommy Fury and Jake Paul. Is that fight going to happen this year? Do you think it's a big fight?
Well,
in an unusual way?
Everybody says they want it to happen. And when I think, again, if it's going to happen, it's got to be put together in the next couple of weeks, minimum.
Yeah.
Otherwise, move on.
And you are talking with them about that, yes?
My son George is speaking with Nikita, who looks after.
Yeah. With MVP, their promotional company, yeah?
Yeah.
But do you think it's a wise fight for Tommy to make? Or, you know, because there's a lot of criticism around, is he an influencer? Is he a boxer? And maybe this is the opportunity to put that in perspective.
Well, it will do, won't it? You know, whether he's an influencer or he's got to influence people that he's a boxer. And this is the fight to do it. And more importantly, it's life-changing money for him. So it's a no-brainer all round.
What do you take from the fact that white-collar boxing or influencer boxing is becoming a bigger thing and it is becoming more regular? Global titans, misfits. What's your take on it?
I don't think they'll last. I think at the moment it is because that's what people have bought into a few of these fights. But a couple of them have fell flat on their backsides and they've lost money with them. But you know, with Jake, he's taken the professional license out now, so he's taking things seriously. So we'll see, and he's obviously improved. You know, Tommy's pretty much of a well, he's not even had. He had about 7 or 8 fights now, so he's a novice as well. So it is what it is, and if he can't beat Jake, then we're all wasting our time.
It was a massive year for women's boxing, I think you'll admit, last year. Yeah. Kind of things grew. Are you going to get more involved in women's boxing? I know you've got Raven and a couple of others, but are you going to get involved in it? Do you feel like you want to?
We've got a couple of girls there, as you say, with Raven, and we're working on it. But I'm not just going to do it for the sake of doing it, because I don't need to do that. And I think some of these girls, some of these cards that they're doing with these girls, I mean, and I don't mean this is disrespectful to the girls, but it's a cheap way of doing boxing because these girls don't get what the men get.
Yeah. And if there's one thing,
and I don't want to be doing that.
Yeah. And if there's one thing you'd like to see in boxing this year, outside just making big fights or making big events, you know, one of the things that I've talked about a lot in the last few weeks, looking back in 2022, is trying, if we can, to have more transparency in the sport when there's an awkward situation, rather than it just be stuck behind lawyers. And I know it's a complex area, but is there one thing that you'd like to see? Well,
there's two things I'd like. I'd like the governing bodies to share all medicals.
Yeah,
and that's important because it's for the boxer's health, and each governing body respects each territory or commission from around the world respects their positions as far as, you know, licensing boxers. The transparency you're talking about obviously refers to Conor Benn, and that was a complete debacle. It should not have happened how it happened, especially the fact that he failed a test going into before they even announced the fight, and apparently Chris Eubanks Jr. being unaware of that. I mean, that's I can't even believe that happened. But I think, and I've told the Border Control my views, it's really simple. It's very simple to deal with this. The Border Control should, change their regulations and say, if you as a boxer or you're a trainer, managers, you want to take a license out, and one of your boxers or a boxer or the boxer himself is found to have tested positive, by any well-respected testing authority, that all those, if it's as far as the UK is concerned, all those findings be sent to UCAD, so that UCAD can have a hearing on it. And if you don't do that, then we won't give you a license.
Yeah. Because if you don't do that, it's not fit for purpose, really. Then is it?
It's pointless. It's pointless. All that's going on at the moment. Everyone's all over the place. No one knows what's going on. I mean, how do I know? If I was Chris Eubanks Jr.'s manager, and I found out that he was fighting a guy who had failed a test and has kept quiet, what do you think I'd be doing about that? That's a serious legal problem. That anyone being allowed to carry on fighting whilst they've got that hanging over their head. And it's really simple. Put a B sample in, and there's an explanation, or there's not. And that's it. It's not rocket science. They make it hard work. They get bamboozled by lawyers, and thankfully the Border Control, at the end of the day, and it took them a long time, had the balls to tell them that they're not sanctioning the fight. And if you recall, the promoters of the event said they were going to sue them, and then the next day changed their mind, which they had to do, because how could they have the best interest of boxing? And certainly, how can anybody have the best interest of Chris Eubanks Jr. fighting somebody who's failed 2 drug tests and has yet to put in a B samples?
Well, we wait for a resolution on that as well, because there's nothing.
I mean, I had a fight that I'm involved with, put a fight in England with Teti, and he failed the test. Nobody from UCAD to this day has informed us. Nobody up until certainly just before Christmas, when I spoke to Robert Smith, he was unaware of it, and they notified South Africa. The fight was on over here. We never heard about it, and I was asked what I thought about it by Boxing Scene. I mean, that's the first I heard about it, and I just said, if he's done anything wrong, the first thing he should do is put his B sample in, and the second thing is to have a hearing and determine what the position is. And if he's done wrong, then he's got to get the appropriate penalties for what he's done.
Do you think that should go ahead before he fights again, wherever he fights?
Yeah. Any boxer. It's bullshit. How can you do? How can you allow that to happen? These guys are what these boxers are taking are called PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. So if a boxer is taking a PED, it's to enhance his performance. That's the list of what they put. These are performance enhancing drugs that are on a list. UCAD's list, BARDA's list, Wilder's list. So if that's the case, then they're obviously cheating.
Well, on that happy note, we look forward to 2023 and great things, and hopefully an undisputed title at the head of it, because, when heavyweight boxing's healthy, the rest of it's healthy, isn't it?
Absolutely right. But we've got some good youngsters. I mean, a lot of our young fighters are in good positions now, Gareth. We worked for them as well over the years. So I think we're going to have some really good, some bumper fights this year, some good quality fights with some of our fighters, that's for sure.
Thanks, Frank.
It's a pleasure, young man. Look after yourself.